And welcome to season 5 of the Shootaround. I am no longer the only host of this podcast. That's right, this season you guys are officially co-hosts. Congratulations. I'm going to give you guys that news live on the air. You're no longer merely featured guest. You're officially co-host. Welcome to season 5, everybody. I am, as is tradition, joined by, above me, the best baseball player I know, Motown Noah, the one and only Jacob, R.R. Buckets, and, of course, the legendary AlexHoops.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a wonderful day to speculate on who's actually going to do the Bronny James thing. But before we do that, Rudy, what do we have to apologize for this week?
This week, I think we need to apologize to Jaylen Brown in like a proper sense because, frankly, going into last season's playoff, because it is officially last season now, we were pretty low on him, and then he fucked around and won Finals MVP and kind of fixed some of the biggest problems with his game. So I think we can all agree that Jaylen Brown is unanimously a top 30 NBA player, bare minimum.
I mean, I always thought he was. I don't want to say always. He might have been outside of 30 for me a few times.
I think on our top 50, he was like 40, bro.
I had him. I remember being higher than you guys.
You were. Yeah. You were. I don't want to drag Alex into this.
On the record. I am not apologizing for anything.
I don't think we should. Was Nick here for that?
No, this was y'all, by the way.
Right.
This was y'all.
Let's not drag.
I would have put him at number 1. I would have put Jaylen Brown at number 1, but you guys put him in the 40s.
At number 1.
These two? It's these two.
Yeah.
I'm mad at them.
Yeah.
Not me. Not me.
To be fair, got way better at the things he was bad at. Version of Jaylen that I was ranking at that time. You know, I still should have been higher on him, but I didn't think he was as good as I do now, so I can't change it.
Jacob, do me a favor and slide over to the gain and pump it up a little bit for me, because Chad is saying you're a little bit quiet compared to everyone else. Yeah, he's just gonna hide his face.
Don't get to see me bend over.
I cranked up the gain. It might be a problem now.
We shall see. This is the Shootaround, and we are sorry for just about everything we do, especially this week's pod, where we have a lot of news to make up for, because since last week's pod, Woj has not just been dropping bombs, he's been on bombardment, like down to as soon as we got done being live. I'm not even sure
about that, buddy.
I'm not even sure if we covered this. We might have, but Pascal Siakam got his maximum extension.
I don't consider a contract extension that we're expecting to be a bomb.
That's fair enough and totally reasonable. But the fact is, like, it's the off season now / the new season, however you want to look at it. And so, like, this is what's going on. There's no more basketball on the floor. It's all on Woj's timeline.
Rudy, I really appreciate the enthusiasm. And like you're trying to get the masses interested in a Pascal Siakam contract extension, but it's just not happening. Man.
I know it's the off season, but Jesus fucking
Dude,
Christ,
what's going on with this? No, Rudy, don't listen to them. This is fucked up. I think it is worth talking about. I think it is absolutely worth talking about. Just because we're expecting the extension to happen does not mean we do know the figures beforehand. So it's the numbers part of it that I think is really interesting, because that's the part of it that we were talking about. Is it was like, well, no, dog, because when we talked about it on this show, we were talking about him at $200 million, and what was it, Rudy? 189?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a. I think he could have gotten a bigger extension, maybe, if because he made an All NBA team in the past, so like he should be eligible for like a 5-year max, but he got a 4-year instead.
Oh,
yeah, it's a 4-year max instead of a 5-year max. That's what the deal
is. 4 years, but it's only 11 mil less. That's actually even heftier bag. I mean, we were expecting the max. We just really didn't necessarily know what the max truly was, I guess.
Because he's eligible for a 5-year extension, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, regardless, apparently the people don't want Pascal Siakam news, Jacob. So let's get into where the real passion's at. What we prepared to talk about last week.
Real quick, I want to say something. So,
yes, please.
When it comes to these contract extensions, because Bam Adebayo just got one, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit. With the new CBA, like right now, all of these bags are getting thrown out, and like, as far as I can tell, we don't really know what a good or bad contract is going to look like in this new CBA. So just like, I'm kind of having a hard time making any sweeping declarations about any of these contract extensions, because I'm like, this may, in the context of this CBA, it may be totally fine. It may not be a bad contract. Or, 2 years from now, we look back and we're like, holy cow, teams were overpaying for everybody just because of the new CBA. So, I don't know. Just something I'm thinking about.
That's a really interesting perspective in the sense that, and I'm sure maybe there is one that's recent, and I just can't think, but if you really think about it, when was the last time that there was an extension that we were like, oh, fuck, that's a lot of money for that guy? I don't think that, like, for me, the last one that comes to mind is
the opposite more often. Yeah,
that you're like, whoa, they got him at that number.
Yeah. I think Austin Reeves last year, I was like, really? It's not even 20 a year annually? Like, I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, Alex, that's a good observation. Rudy, what else has Woj said in the last week?
Is this like 2016 in a way? Do you think it could be like on that level of you look at that and you're like, what the fuck was that season?
I thought 2016 was the Mozgov year, right?
Yeah, Mozgov. I think Otto Porter Jr. got a
KD
crazy
was the one that people.
Harrison
KD
Barnes
is usually the one
made
people
way
say first,
too
Rudy,
much goddamn money. Well, I'm talking about in terms of like ridiculous contracts that you're like, no fucking way that guy. I think Alan Crabb got like $18 million a year, which in 2016 was like unfucking heard of for a bench player.
Man, shout out to the Crab Man.
What's funny is he immediately forgot to shoot as soon as he got how to shoot, as soon as he got that money. Like he was 40% on high volume, and then he was like, got my bag, I'm done hitting threes.
What was it? Was he in Portland and then he got that money from Brooklyn? Is that what it was?
No. Brooklyn gave him that contract. Portland matched it. And they also gave a huge bag to Evan Turner. So they spent all of their offseason money on Evan Turner and Alan Crabb.
Wow.
Dame should have demanded a trade the moment those contracts were signed.
He was only 6 years too late, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's really hitting him.
That's fucked up. Wow.
The Luol Deng Lakers season.
And this wasn't even like Evan Turner, who you could believe had some potential. This was like post Celtics trade. You know when he was on the Celtics for like a day?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, this guy's not that good. They gave him like 18 mil him as well, I think. 15 around, something like that. Crazy shit.
I think this season or this offseason has more potential to be like the inverse of that, apparently, if based on like the trends that you pointed out, Jacob, that like it seems like guys are more often than not seeming to get a little bit underpaid based on, people's expectations. Maybe that's just because so many players in the NBA are so good now that like it kind of makes the fans' perspective a little bit more irrelevant compared to like the front offices who are actually making
I
the
just don't
decisions
think
about these money.
people are used to the 25th best player in the NBA making more money than all-time greats did 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Right. But
Like,
more
that's
importantly, what I'm
hard
saying
to
is
deal
like
with and adjust to in your head.
the new cap inflation that's going to come from the upcoming broadcast deal hasn't kicked in yet, but the new CBA has. So we're kind of in this weird middle ground where we have to get ready for a bigger salary cap, but at the same time we're still playing a little bit by the rules of like a older era, aka 2024 to 2016 or whatever.
Yeah, I feel like they're playing it safer, so there's less people are just like, yeah, we're gonna give you buku bucks. You gotta deal with the fact you're not making that kind of money.
Can I ask a question to the panel? Maybe this is targeted more towards Rusty and Alex. It's 2010, okay? 2010, you're paying Dirk. Is he a $200 million man? Or rather, I guess I don't know the question here if it makes more sense to put it in modern day terms. But
the equivalent at the time?
Yeah,
Or-
like
how
was
much
Dirk
per
a
year?
$200 million guy? Yeah.
AKA like
No.
one of the top
Like
paid
like
guys.
5-year contract. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
in my
he
opinion.
was like 32 though is the only thing that I would be a little hesitant on, but like
But the Mavs owed him,
right, for sure. But it was like, do you want to pay 37-year-old Dirk, $60 million a year? Maybe not, but we have the hindsight of knowing they won a championship after this, so it's
Exactly.
like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna sign him I'll give him $300 million.
Yeah.
That's like paying $200
It's
million for
interesting-
a championship. It's like, yeah, I'll pay $200 million for my team to get a ring.
Yeah.
It's weird
But I get
that
what you're
in
asking.
basketball, to your point, Jacob, like you're like, well, by the time, if we do this contract right now, by the time this guy's 37, we're paying him $60 million. What's weird is in baseball, teams like don't care about that, and like they'll do that. Like the Tigers gave Miguel Cabrera like fucking $400 million, knowing that for the last like 7 years of that contract, he was going to eat all that money and do nothing on the field.
Yeah,
but it was to like reward him for his career that he had, you know.
It's
and
also,
so I don't know. Go ahead.
It's kind of paying. Like it's like a delayed pay for, it's like your salary's really 100 whatever it is per year for these years that you're actually good, and then you're getting the rest of it over time. That's how they probably justify it in their head. It is
Let's
also
call it what it is. It's circumventing the cap.
Yeah. But it's also correct me if I'm wrong, I think baseball players age a little bit better than basketball players do. They play more games, but it's a less physically taxing.
It depends on the position.
Right,
yeah.
right. But I don't know what position he is.
I think a catcher in baseball is one of the most physically demanding sports jobs there is, and like you're technically in place the whole time, but you're also crouched.
What's like the oldest player you'd see in the MLB? How's the highest it'll get?
Dudes play into their 40s. It's not uncommon.
Right.
Yeah.
They also make so much goddamn money comparatively to other leagues that's just like, do I even want to keep playing after it starts to hurt? What's so goddamn funny? I see you laughing. What happened?
Look at the private chat. Keep it moving. Let's keep it going. Keep
bad.
going.
Yeah. I can't say that one on air. Nick,
that's evil to do that to the audience, because now they're like, what the fuck happened?
To the people listening, I want you to know it's so funny. And you have no idea.
Oh man, maybe on the members only stream coming someday, we'll reveal what the ultimate joke was on season 5, episode 1. Nick, how are you feeling about your coaching situation up in Detroit? According to Adrian Wojnarowski, not only have y'all fired one of the highest paid coaches ever, but you're also looking to bring in James Borrego, and you got a new SVPOBO from Dallas. That's Senior Vice President of Basketball Operations.
Yeah, I thought that one was interesting. I guess we can lead with that.
That's a championship move.
No, but I thought it was interesting because if you're Detroit and you're looking at these head coaching candidates, well, who is one of them that you're looking at? Sean Sweeney, who not only just coached in Detroit for like 5 years under Dwayne Casey at the top of his bench, and then goes down to Dallas and goes to the finals down there. And then we poach one of their executives. And so I'm like, whoa, trying to connect this Sean Sweeney dot. Is he coming to Detroit to be the head coach? That'd be pretty fun. Because in my head, I'm thinking this whole time, I'm like, well, James Borrego is the Cavs coach. So like, okay, so what happens? And then what the hell? What have we been saying about Kenny Atkinson on this program for like a month? Where we're like, this guy is bitch made. Like, fuck this guy. But like, not really. Like,
I didn't use those words.
And then like, he swoops in and he actually takes a job. So Kenny Atkinson. So I'm like, whoa. And then my brain like pivots. I'm like, okay, so, oh my God. So James Borrego is my coach. So I'm like, okay, so what are the... So I'm like, so what does this mean? I'm like, well, James Borrego coached the Hornets for like 4 years and was bad. They were bad for all 4 years. But he also kind of he was almost the transition, the bridge coach between them deciding, hey, the Kemba thing is over and like, we're going to... Hold on. And then we're going to do the LaMelo Ball thing. And so that was like I think the first year was the last year with Kemba, and then the next 3... And so like the Hornets got a little bit better every single year, but like he hated rookies, and like LaMelo I think made an All-Star game, didn't he, under Borrego? So it's like, okay, so I'm a little excited, but I'm like, he coached bad teams, bad teams, and then got fired before the team was able to get good. So it's not very inspiring to me. And then the last thing I'll say is that on the actual Monty Williams dismissal, by the way, not firing, dismissal. Get your facts straight. Is that I thought I would be more excited about it, but then when you're like, okay, so the Pistons just did the right thing. That's it.
Right,
That's kind of just the way that I'm looking at it, and I'm having a hard time getting that. I mean, it's really cool that they actually did it.
Right.
But like whatever.
It doesn't feel fun to celebrate the bare minimum, but when your franchise never does the bare minimum, it feels celebration worthy.
Yeah, it is cool. Right.
Right. That's how I'm feeling about the Bulls. Let's see. Can you give me something to be happy about? Probably not. The thing that's funny to me about Borrego is that Steve Clifford was the coach before him, and after him.
And
so
after
they
him.
went back to their ex after they were like, okay, we thought we didn't like you, but James Borrego is so much worse. Please come back, bald man, and coach our team.
It's just you're a little mean, but you get the job done.
What's pretty fucked about that for Charlotte the last couple of years is James Borrego had the reputation for not really fucking with rookies. Steve Clifford has that same reputation.
Yeah.
So they're a team that only has young players and needs to develop young players, but the coaches fucking hate young players.
Well, okay,
I will
so
say
here's
Steve Clifford was better about that than James.
I'm
Borrego,
sure.
in my
I'm sure he's
opinion.
probably better
I
the
think-
second half as well, rather than the first stint. Like his second stint, I think he was more reasonable. But I was weirdly close watching the Hornets because I lived near them, so I saw them all the time.
So, two things here. I'd love to highlight this comment, lovely comment from Drew Hoops. Steve Clifford be looking like a squash. I thought that was really insightful. And then the other mental exercise that I wanted to throw at you guys, just as it pertains to the Pistons and the Hornets and like players that need to develop but kind of never did, who do you think gets picked up on a roster, maybe for training camp first? Not like starts the season on a team, but who gets picked up on a roster first? Killian Hayes or James Bouknight?
Ooh,
Book night.
Probably
You think
Killian
so?
Hayes.
probably Killian Hayes, dude.
I think it's
Actually-
Killian Hayes.
Killian Hayes
Yeah.
was named like the 97th best player in the
I
NBA
don't-
by Kevin
yeah.
O'Connor like a week ago, I think. So
Well, Killian, I don't know if you guys saw this. Killian, as of today, was cut from the French
Yeah.
national team.
That's why I was just immediately like, damn,
He's
yeah, I guess
available.
That's different than I guess there's enough French. I guess there's enough French players. I didn't realize there were that many NBA players who were French that they could like.
Well,
afford
France
to
has
pick
been
up.
France has been a powerhouse in like international play
Yeah.
for
I
like
don't
a
know a
good
lot about
20 some
it, so,
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they gave us the greatest defender in our generation, Rudy Gobert,
Yeah. And they had
and
Tim
Victor
Duncan, too.
Wembanyama.
Yes, and they're gonna send the actual greatest defender of the next coming generation.
Nick,
yeah.
I have a proposal for you regarding your Pistons because we haven't mentioned it yet, but the draft is tonight, and our teams, along with Jacob's team, Grizzlies and the Bulls, are both rumored to be trying to trade up, and your fifth pick is apparently up for grabs. Perhaps I've also heard that you guys are pursuing like veteran centers and stuff like that, so maybe you guys are out on Jalen Duren. So let me ask you this: what
man,
would
I'd
you
love
be
to steal
satisfied
him.
in return if we traded something
We're not trading
plus
anything.
plus the 9th pick for the 5th pick in Jalen Duren? What's like the player or other picks package that has to come your way for you to be happy about it?
This is Memphis
Yeah,
or
you're trading
Memphis
down.
and Chicago.
I don't believe that
Either
Memphis
or,
can
whatever.
trade. I don't think Memphis can trade future first round picks up to a certain point at least.
I
We have a
don't
lot
need
of
it.
draft capital.
Yeah,
You
maybe they
wouldn't
have
get
picks
it from-
other years.
You wouldn't get it for the number 5 anyways this year because you're not getting a player and a pick. It's like pick one. You know what I mean? It's not that valuable of a pick. So I say that, but I'm also looking at a Detroit team that has a lot of cap. And I look at a guy on the Grizzlies who makes $200 million for reasons that I can't figure out. I'm looking at you, Desmond Bane. I want Desmond Bane.
For Ford's picks up and Jalen Duren?
Hold on.
So
hold
what
on,
you just
hold
told
on.
me
Yeah, you
they
said-
couldn't get a future pick, but they can get Desmond Bane.
These are my demands. And either you meet them or you don't get to pick Modest Buzelis.
Oh,
Either
wait,
you
wait.
lose Desmond Bane or you don't get to pick him.
I think both
you-
instances they want Klingon, but yeah.
You can't figure out why he's making $200 million, but you want him. Making
But I want to find out.
$200
But I want to find out.
You could just watch Grizzlies games. I know that's
I
a
want to
heavy
find out.
task, but-
And then if you're so AK's calling, bring, bring. Okay, Io DeSumo next.
No.
Like, I'm serious. Okay, then you're not picking
I'm
Modest
not
Buzelis.
moving him for Klingon personally.
Oh, yeah.
Kobe
no.
White. Kobe White.
I would say, like, unfortunately, the timing doesn't work. I was like, could I interest you in a Patrick Williams sign and trade? But you can't do that pre-draft.
And don't forget, Jacob,
maybe
this
you
package
can.
includes Jalen Duren, your boy.
Oh, we can't make that happen, and I don't want to give
Wait.
up Io.
I'm talking about getting
Wait.
Jalen Duren and 5 for whatever and 9. So you asking for Desmond Bane wasn't like, oh, holy fuck, stupid. It was like out of this world
In
to
this
me.
draft, it kind of is. Because ultimately, Klingon's probably going to be in like a Clint Capella tier from what I have heard. Like a better than current Clint Capella a couple years ago. Clint Capella, like the 10th best center in the NBA.
I'm not willing to sacrifice Desmond Bain to get Jalen Duren and Donovan Clingan to be my centers of the future, but
That's
Okay,
I guess.
Yeah, I'm out on having both. I think you need one or the other.
Right.
I don't think you can do both. They're just not going to develop.
But also at the 5th pick, I don't know if there's a player that is that much better than who would be at the 11th pick, not by like some super stupid wide margin.
Here's my proposal: Brandon Clark. You get Brandon Clark instead of Jalen Duren. A more
Is Brandon Clark going to play?
Right.
Yeah, I mean he spent the whole season rehabbing basically. It was just a tank year, so he's back. A guy who's good enough to swing a series.
My point is he gets hurt frequently. It's not like he was just hurt this year. Like he has
I
an
also
injury
think
history.
Detroit would be stupid to give up on Duren this easily.
That's what I'm fucking trying to ask here.
Right, but that's the reports.
The reports are
That's
stupid.
what I wanted to ask. That's what I wanted to ask.
Take.
You're just asking questions.
Are these? I'm honestly. Are these like credible report? Who are these coming from? Is this like Mark Stein? Like where is this?
Yeah, beats me. I do not have notes on this, but I wish I came with a little bit more prep on that one. I can do a little do research, but we're gonna have to stall.
I have seen that rumor going around. How valid it is. I think it's dumb. I understand that Duren's defense kind of disappointed this year, a little bit. But I also think he's on the Detroit Pistons, and he's going to win. He's going to lose regardless. So he's like, why am I going to 110% effort on defense right now?
Before we move on to the Mikal Bridges thing and like more Woj bombs, just to stay on the draft for a second, I don't want us to get too off the rails of like narratives here, but I am genuinely excited to see who does the Bronny thing. Mm-hmm. I'm genuinely excited to be sitting on my couch, not checking my phone. I don't like to look at, so I don't look at anything because I hate the pick tipping. It's bullshit. I think the league needs to crack down on that from like Woj and Shams. I think it's annoying.
Facts.
Agreed.
Just don't look at social media. It's like part of what's fun about it, but like, okay, whatever. So anyways, I'm not going to know, right, for any of these picks. And I'm really excited to out loud go, oh my God, like that Team X actually did the Bronny thing. So I just wanted to go around the horn really quick. And that's not a verbal trademark, by the way, and ask each of you, do you think it's going to be the Lakers? Do you think it's going to be, because I think my zag on it is I think it's going to be Philly that like jumps in from the rafters. I think it's going to be Philly.
Philly would be a good one because they got the cap space.
Because it's like they're also just a team that if LeBron were to leave, it makes sense for him to
and
consider.
Don't forget, Daryl Morey is crazy. He's a crazy person.
Office fucking rocker.
And a liar.
He follows me on Twitter. That's how
Daryl
you know
Morey
he's
is a
fucking
liar,
nuts.
and I will never play for any of his teams ever again.
I think at
One
the end of the day, though,
ever.
One of the most tragic breakups in NBA history.
100%. 100%. Do you think the most likely outcome, though, is that we get to the end of the night and then we're just like, oh, so it did end up just being the Lakers in the end? And so it actually, there wasn't
I don't know.
that much.
It really depends entirely on how eager someone else is to jump the gun because, like, I feel like he could go anywhere from, like, 15 to fucking 38, like 40. Like, I could see teams being like, yeah, we ain't really worried about it. I've also seen the reports that there isn't really a package deal there anymore. Like that's kind of something he's walking back.
That's something that we're looking at here from the Woj timeline. Him retweeting Jonathan Givani from Draft Express. I think this is more of a leverage thing from Rich Paul because this is a quote from Rich Paul.
Right.
Of course he's going to say it's his job to say, yeah, whoever drafts Bronny is not a guarantee to get LeBron. That is not what's going on. If he said anything else, he wouldn't be doing his job, and we all know that he's pretty fucking good at his job. So like, I don't know how much stock to put into this, especially considering that Woj is retweeting it. I get that like adds a sense of validity, but like who cares? It's agent
The notion
speak.
that he would take a minimum deal is fucking hilarious. Do you know who this man is?
Yeah.
LeBron gets a bag. That's one thing he does. He does not worry about anything else until that's settled. So yeah, that's not going to work. I think probably the Lakers would get him just because I don't think they're going to have to fight that hard to get him. Like if they had to trade up for real to get him, then maybe that'd be an issue. But I don't think they do.
I think in an ideal world, I really want someone to shake this shit up.
Yeah,
and
more
like
interesting.
One of the fucking who's like the Hornets. just trying to think of like a desolate team. The Pistons, like whoever it is, someone that like causes like a meltdown, and Clutch has to scramble and figure out like how to nullify the fucking draft and like do all of this shit.
Bronny
you know
James has demanded a trade from the Brooklyn Nets.
Right, like he does it, like he holds out. He doesn't sign his rookie contract. Like whatever it is, I kind of want a team in the second round to be like, fuck it. Like, what is he going to do? Not show up?
I think LeBron recognizes how bad of a PR look that is. And it doesn't happen. The funny thing to me, someone has pointed out recently, because the draft's coming up, I hadn't seen the observation before, but it's very funny to imagine Bronny sharing the floor with LeBron doing defensive communications and being like, Dad, screen right. Dad, we gotta switch.
Yeah, now that it's like close to becoming a reality, it has become like, this is actually a little weird.
No, it's
kind of weird.
I know it's happened in other sports, but it's genuinely some
Not
kind
often,
of,
though.
It's some kind of milestone, and here's the thing that it is for LeBron. The metric is people can go, LeBron played in the league so long, he even played with his son.
It's
There's
just about that
perfect
novelty.
narrative. Absolutely it is. That's the whole... That's
It's
what he's gonna get
all
out
about
of it.
his image.
Facts. PR James.
Speaking of images in LA, though, Nick, you're going to be happy about this one. But JJ Redick signed a 4-year deal with the Lakers to become the next head coach of them. And in his press conference, he said he is excommunicated from the media. No more content from JJ Redick, potentially for 4+ years. My Lakers friend texted me, said, we just found our next coach for the next 30 years. Are you as excited as him?
I'm excited for all of the stuff you said after the fact that he's the coach and that we'll never hear from this dumb motherfucker ever again. I'm really excited about that part of it, and then also that the fact that the media will completely turn on this guy and all of the good grace that he built up will come crashing down. And the Lakers are like, no, this is like a even after LeBron thing. Like this is a long-term move. We want JJ to. And then you're like, okay, like that's cool. So I think we've talked a lot about this before it did officially happen. So there's not too much else that I need to say, but I think that there's no good scenario here. There's no good outcome.
I couldn't believe he did it. I could not believe he did it. And I'm not going to lie. I think the outcome of this is that a year and a half, 2 years, maybe 2.5 if we're being generous, probably returns with his hat in his hand to the podcasting game. Mm-hmm. And it's pretty embarrassing. Like, that will not be great. It's like, I couldn't make it. Back to talking about it in a camera. Back to being one of us fucking dweebs.
Yeah, one of us. So
I'll miss the content. I enjoy the content, but it's an interesting story, and technically it is less competition, so whatever.
Alex, the door is open for you to pivot into imitating that guy who screams into X's and O's on Twitter, except it's just strictly JJ Redick hate. You're like, this fucking idiot. Should have ran this set.
I hate
These
that
guys
guy.
are coached to do this. They need to be coached to do that.
I hate that guy so much.
The door is open.
Just for the record.
I'm all right.
Yeah, so Woj was just tweeting about that all the ding-dong day until something else came up. Finally, your favorite thing, Jacob, besides me using that fake expression, Josh Giddey for AlexHoops, straight up. Alex, I want you to go in on this a little bit first because I've heard Jacob ramble about this for 20 minutes.
Congrats. 20 minutes? I've gone a full hour of talking about Josh Giddey to you at this point.
No, I mean like along with the audience. Like we've already heard your perspective in the last video on this channel. So I'm curious about Alex.
Listen, dude, I'm just like, of all the because I've been looking at Josh Giddey this whole time as the season's played out and everything that happened and the playoffs happened. We saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm watching the playoffs. Dallas is helping off of him, making him shoot, making him be a scorer. He's getting abused on defense, and I'm like, we're just going to end up getting a couple second-round picks for this guy. And you're telling me we got AlexHoops, baby. I tell you what, This is not what I saw coming. I am so beyond happy because I have been singing AlexHoops' praises like everybody. You know, he's a great defender. One of the best defenders in the entire league. He's a fantastic shooter. His production per minute is
40%
fantastic.
40%.
Yep, 40% shooter. His true shooting percentage is like 62%.
All defense.
You know, Josh Giddey was like a 56% true shooter. I think it was actually like 54, 52, something like that. You know, very inefficient. Listen, here's the thing. Josh and Jacob, this is gonna be like nails on a chalkboard to you. Guess what? Too bad. Josh Giddey, it wasn't gonna happen in Oklahoma because there's too many mouths to feed. Josh Giddey needs the ball in his hands. Everyone said it. Blah 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 blah. But Chicago, Jacob, hey, who knows, man?
That's what I've been saying all
week. Put it together. He might put it together, and then you know what?
I know.
Not so upset.
I'm who knows.
But all I know is, regardless of how Chicago Bulls fans feel about this trade, as a Thunder fan,
Yeah, we know. We know how you guys feel about it. Believe
You guys
me.
got your Derek White. You're the Celtics West now. It's official.
I'll try to make this short and sweet. Okay. The reason that Josh Giddey in particular frustrates me is because of he has a series of intersections, both with things I do not like about basketball players and things that I do not like about how we talk about basketball players. First, and I'm going to use this word because I mean it, the fetishization of youth in the NBA to the point where if any player is 21...
You're saying that talking about Josh Giddey?
Come on.
Okay, that's a good point.
What are we doing here?
I did not consider that.
It's profoundly unclear.
Okay, potential. Young player potential. Is that
There we
better?
go.
I didn't even think about that at all. My B. If a player's young, that means they could be Luka. If a player is young, that means they could be LeBron. It drives me nuts the way that people, if any player is young, it means they do have all-star potential, pretty much. If they display any skill at an okay level at any point and they're young, you're like, who knows what that guy could be? On top of that, numbers are sick. Numbers are cool. I love box score stats. However, if every metric says that you are a net negative on the floor, that's a problem. That's a problem. He had, at least according to Basketball Reference, because I know sometimes it can vary a little bit depending on the website, but it was a negative
9.5 or something like that.
9.5
during
on
like a 16
off
and 6 season
for the
whatever it
entire
was.
season. So he is a net negative, shoots poorly. Basically, Josh Giddey needs the ball in his hands, right? So this is the other thing that gets me. Josh Giddey needs the ball in his hands. What player in the NBA that is even remotely fucking successful, what team who has this philosophy is remotely successful, where a guy who isn't a good shooter, not really a good scorer, doesn't really draw the attention or scare the defense that much, scoring-wise, is leading and dribbling most of the time? There is not an NBA team that does that anymore. That's an old ideology. That's John Stockton shit. We don't do that here. Either you can shoot and you can score and you are a threat that the defense respects and you play make from that, or you are a like connector, quote unquote, where like Derek Lively catches the ball on the short roll and makes a pass, but he's not sitting there dribbling the ball the whole time waiting to make a pass. That Josh Giddey is not an effective archetype of player. That just doesn't work unless he dramatically improves his scoring ability. If that happens, which it hasn't happened in the NBA over 3 years to this point, really, his three-point percentage has gotten better over time, but it's still fucking bad. And I read some stat that was like 80+% of his three-point makes this regular season were wide open. Like literally the defense was nowhere near him. So 32% with the easiest looks in the entire league. You just can't win that way. There are not players who win that way anymore.
Nick, let me ask you this. Would you rather have the 5th pick tonight or Josh Giddey?
I said on Twitter I'd take the 20th pick over Josh Giddey, and I'm not kidding.
So the question is, would I rather have Buzelis or would I rather have Josh Giddey?
Bingo.
I'd rather have Josh Giddey. because Jaden Ivey's not on the team anymore, so we got to get somebody to replace him. So I'm
As
gonna
good
take
as
Josh
gone.
Giddey.
Not officially though, right?
Sorry, not to confuse anybody out there. Jaden Ivey is still on the Pistons, but he is not in my head canon. He's
jump
not.
scare.
I got so confused. I was like, when did I miss it? When did that happen?
Why
Sorry,
would you
sorry,
want...
On
folks.
vacation for a week.
Sorry,
I know,
folks.
I know that Buzelis has shooting questions, but Josh Giddey, Cade Cunningham backcourt is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
I hate Buzelis. I think he's gonna be like the worst player ever.
Are you that confident the Pistons are drafting him? Is it like that?
I feel
universal?
really fucking good about it.
Mm-hmm.
No. It's just an intuition thing. They could go 15 different
feel
directions. It's a manifestation thing.
Whenever I listen to your show, I feel like I hear the name Buzelis far more than any other draft player.
He's just
ever.
he's just priming himself. He's getting used to it.
Yeah, somebody emailed me, and a couple people have tried to challenge me that I don't know anybody in the class other than Buzelis. Klingon, I know that fucker. I know.
Isn't that Star Trek?
Yeah. Richard Simmons, Richard Say. What you say? What's
Richard
that guy's
Say-
name?
Probably not Richard.
Much to
Say.
say.
Yeah.
Malik Monk intends to sign a 4-year,
Hold on,
$78 million
real quick. Hold on. Put this away real quick. Hold on. Turn those lights off. So, real quick, we're going to take a quick detour. I don't know if you guys do this, but I do this with draft picks a lot, and it's across all sports. But I feel like I can just tell if a player is going to be good or bad just by their name.
Yeah, it's a vibes thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's certain
Buzelis
names that I'm
is not
just
a good
like,
one.
it's not happening, Chief. You're maybe 10 minutes a game.
That's like a Dragon Bender. You're like, I don't know.
Drajan Bender?
How did you? Is it Dragon or Drajan? I don't know.
Drajan Bender.
But for me, it was the last name. The first name doesn't get me, but Bender, I don't know about that, man. The robot from Futurama, not good vibes for a basketball
Yeah, I mean,
player.
it all didn't help that you guys can go by names. He looked like Sloth from the Goonies. That's why he wasn't going to be good in the NBA. Fucking looked like an imbecile. He looked crazy. Stinks.
Nominative determinism is the hypothesis that
boy.
people tend to gravitate toward areas of work that fit their names. And this page is pretty long, so it's not just a vibe thing. Apparently, people have developed real ideas about the concept of your name.
I feel like you name your kid
being your destiny.
I feel like you name your kid LeBron James, knowing he's gonna be a basketball player.
I drafted someone from like a Madden draft class that someone uploaded the other day with a wide receiver whose first name is Adonai, which I thought was awesome. It's like Hebrew for God. Apparently, that's a real guy, so he's probably going to be an awesome wide receiver.
Adonai Mitchell.
That
No,
goes
it's
hard.
a Donnie, but spelled like God. That's crazy.
Yeah. I made a joke to
that's
one of
so
the
cool.
nurses in the after we delivered our son. After my girlfriend delivered our son, I made a joke to one of the nurses about naming our son LeBron, and she didn't really find it funny.
This one time at like a slammed ice cream joint, it was one of those places where you fill out what you want on a piece of paper and just hand it to someone and walk away. At the top it said name, and there was a line out the fucking door, so we were just like waiting for the shit outside. And so they walk out with my ice cream, and they just say, LeBron James. Got a big laugh from everyone eating ice cream outside on this lovely summer evening.
Real quick, I've always found it funny that when a woman gives birth, it's called like delivering the baby, and like it's right there. You didn't deliver it.
Is she wearing an Amazon hat?
Right. My mind goes to like FedEx truck pulls up. It's in a little brown box.
The mom gets handed the baby and goes, "Can you sign for this?"
It's less delivering and more just like taking it out of the locker.
Yeah, it's like it was in the oven, and you don't
No,
deliver
it's
a
out.
pie.
Right.
You take the pie out of the oven.
No, there's a better word, has a more descriptive quality.
Scream
Perhaps
in
there's a
pain
lexical gap.
until a life
What
comes
about
out of you.
arrival? Like the arriving, like the baby arrived. I don't
It makes
know.
it seem more passive.
People use that though, I guess. Oh yeah. My fault.
I'm gonna say she
Let's get
popped
back
that
to
one
track.
out of there. So the Malik Monk has re-signed with Sacramento for $78 million over 4 years. People were pretty excited for him to hit free agency, but alas, here we are. Any thoughts on Malik Monk? Going once?
No, I
Going
do not
twice?
have any thoughts, so I'll be back.
sold. We're moving on from Malik Monk.
It's a good deal. That's all there is to it. Good deal. That's a good deal.
Damn good deal. Let's see what else Woj
About
is
you,
tweeting
Udovich,
about.
you make that deal?
After that Malik Monk post, there was about a 4.5 day gap of Woj tweeting a lot, but it's a lot of nothing. So we're just going to rapid fire get through that while Jacob is squeezing his dick, getting the pee out.
Goodness gracious. What are you on today?
That's what it takes. What? Drew Eubanks declined his player option, meaning that he is indeed hitting the free agent market, unlike Malik Monk. And then we also got Troy Weaver, your boy, Nick, going to Washington. So, they're back in hell. That news that we already mentioned about James Borrego potentially going to Detroit. But you also got J.B. Bickerstaff as a potential Detroit
I have to say something. I wanted to say something, but I was not back. I don't know that because what's his name was bad at being a GM for the Pistons, that means he'll be a bad assistant. Maybe he got too big for his britches and took a job he couldn't handle, so stepping down to just being a
mere senior advisor.
Right.
I mean, he did it for Presti, so he was good at that. That's why he got the Pistons job.
Yeah.
But the Cavaliers are indeed bringing Kenny Atkinson, someone.
What a terrifying looking man.
Our favorite coach in the league for some reason. Coastal elites flocking to the Midwest. Nothing new. Drew Hoops in the chat earlier said, did Kenny Atkinson wait too long for a situation like Cleveland?
I don't know.
I think this is the perfect time, personally.
I don't know if I want to jump on that ship. I think it's about to start sinking.
I mean, he could develop Evan Mobley really well.
Yeah,
he has a history of bringing jump shots to big men.
Maybe he's thinking the rebuild's coming, so he's like, I will coach through this rebuild, and he's not expecting to contend because...
Yeah, he's got Jared Allen again, too. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, reunited with the Fro.
And Karis LeVert.
And Karis LeVert, yeah.
Oh, my God, wow. Wow, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And those Nets were awesome. So you know what? This is a
they
big
were.
cultural W for Kenny
sure.
Atkinson.
That is exactly what I was going to say. Is I think if nothing else, we've talked about it in recent weeks on this program, where we're like, Kenny Atkinson built a really good culture in Brooklyn, and it's like
That
if you're a
was his
Cavs
whole
fan,
thing.
that's his whole deal. So if you're a Cavs fan, that's what you have to look forward to. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. So congratulations.
I feel
to
like they were
the dog
lacking a
pound.
little power of friendship.
Yeah.
They were. you would know as like the resident power of friendship team in the NBA right now.
Well, that and
What
I
a pro
watch a
wants,
lot of
what a pro
anime,
needs.
and like that's 90% of my armor is just power of anime. So I think if you lock the Cleveland Cavaliers roster in a home theater and just make them watch Naruto Shippuden, I think they're gonna be golden as a team. They're gonna be good to go.
We can only dream. Let's see what else we got in the tweets. Scotty Barnes getting his max extension, 5 years, $270 million.
It's crazy what non-All-Star players can make. Or did he make the All-Star team this year?
I think he made one All-Star team, right? Am I tripping?
Guys,
It would have been this
Guys,
year if he did.
have you been watching Scotty Barnes like Twitch streams?
No, I haven't.
I am
have
unaware of Scotty Barnes' Twitch streams. Please put me on.
There was something that was like, how do you meet girls? And he was just like, bro, just go outside. Like, you sit inside and play video games all day. Just go outside. You'll meet women.
That's where they all are, outside.
You're not in your
Told his
apartment.
viewers to touch grass.
Yeah.
But good for Toronto, right? Inarguably, good expected move. Went through.
That
No
also could have
surprises.
been it could have been like a 12-year-old too. He doesn't know.
Let's see. What else? We also got Reggie staying in Denver. No surprise there. His contract was pretty generous, and his role was a pretty hand in glove, as far as I could tell. I hope this is a W for Denver, but maybe some Denver fans.
He also
will
wasn't getting
disagree.
that money nowhere else. So.
Exactly. So more just rapid fire stuff to be expected. Chris Finch also got a 4-year extension. I reckon his money will be very similar to the JJ Redick money, whatever it may be. Obviously, the Lakers make way more, but he deserves it just as much.
This is
You can buy a brand new knee.
Yeah, this is a joke I saw on Twitter that was like, I don't know about investing in someone who's on the wrong side of 30 and just had a serious ACL injury.
Yeah. And then Woj also putting some Donovan Clingan propaganda out here, so I'm actually concerned. Like this makes me think that he's not going to be as good because he's got the Woj bump. You know, it's like this feels dirty, right?
That's fucking weird though. Why is Whoa, I didn't see this. Why?
He has done this before.
Right. He
has. Just devil's
I don't
advocate
care. No. I'm not saying
I still
it's
find it
weird
strange.
because this is like a one-off thing. Okay, if he's done it in the past, that's weird that Woj has done it in the past. Why is Woj tweeting out agent highlight packages of like clients? Why the fuck is Woj tweeting that? That's not
it's just like all relationship management.
That's Sham's job.
I mean,
exactly.
That too.
His whole thing is that he has these relationships with these agents, so I imagine it's like a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours type situation.
100%.
That's not his jurisdiction. What the fuck? That's
I
weird.
mean, I don't know if
it's
absolutely
this.
I don't know if it's against the rules necessarily. Like I don't know if he's
No, it's not.
some
It's
sort
not.
of ethic that he's breaking.
Him and Shams have been doing that forever.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's weird.
It's only for a couple of
I
guys.
agree.
It's only like a couple of guys each year.
Yeah.
It is weird because Shams is usually the agent guy and Woj is the like organizational mouthpiece guy.
100%.
So seeing
for sure.
Woj do it for the agents, it's like, interesting.
Got to mix up his bag of what do you call these tweets? Just like draft propaganda.
Yeah, it's propaganda.
Yeah.
It's called
Pelicans promoting from within to replace their fired GM. Probably a good move. David Griffin. Is he a good GM or did he just get LeBron? We'll never know. Hard to really analyze what this means because we never know about these guys until we actually see them in action, get their names on these Woj tweets. And then, like I said, lots of boring tweets for a few days. But then,
yeah, let's get through some of this
boom,
garbage.
big move. Big move. Mikal Bridges, the headliner of this podcast, the thumbnail. 5 picks and a swap. 4 picks and a swap. And I'm sorry. 4 unprotected picks, a protected pick, an unprotected swap, a second-round pick, and another second-round pick for Mikal Bridges. So 5 picks, a swap, and 2 second-round picks. Josh Hart. Arguably tampering, but who cares? Let's go from Micho, whatever, in the chat. Appreciate your donation. Thank you very much for your $2. Are the Knicks are they in the Celtics echelon now? Assuming they get OG Anunoby back, and they're just that deep with damn good NBA players. Because this is a very big move. They're putting all the chips on the table for the Villanova guys.
I just want to say
think
there could not be a more perfect player for the New York Knicks than a guy, or Tom Thibodeau specifically, than a guy who has literally never missed a game in his entire career.
Yep. Absolutely. Since high school. Played 83 games in one NBA season one time. Nick, what were you going to say?
I think the part of this that's the most fun for me is that if you're like, okay, so how are teams trying to... It's really hard to build continuity in the NBA these days, right? Because it seems like every 8 months teams are, reshuffling the deck. And they got, 6 new guys on their roster. And so, to play 2-3 years with even 8 of the same guys, like it feels uncommon nowadays. And so what the Knicks did is they circumvented doing that like in real time. And they were like, what if we just got all of the guys who like won national championships together when they were fucking 18 years old? What if we got those guys together? And then how many of them also had experience playing together even before Villanova? So it's like what the Knicks did is they were like, instead of getting a group of guys and keeping them together for a few years, what if it kind of makes you think of like what the Eagles have done in the NFL the last few years. Those motherfuckers are like, hey, we need a really good defense. Okay, so who has the best defense in college football? Georgia, the team that just keeps winning national championships on the back of these like historic defenses. And the Eagles have been like, what if we drafted every single player on the fucking Georgia defense for like 3 straight years? That's basically what the Knicks just did here, but like down the line, they just traded for all of those guys. So this fucking rules. This rolls.
I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like it, at least in modern NBA history, where just like college teammates reunite for like let's get the band back together again type vibe. You know, this is really gonna be fun. I legitimately think that they're a threat in the East, assuming they get OG back. If they spent all these picks to just replace OG Anunoby, a guy they traded for midseason, and who then walks away in free agency after half a season with them, this is way too expensive for just a replacement. And it makes it feel very old school Knicks, very like, ooh, way overpay. What a wacky trade. Like, do you guys remember the Barngani trade? Where like they sent a pick or something like that? I felt like they should have got a pick.
Yeah.
You definitely said that weird, but I'm going to let it slide.
Yeah, that's my job.
Can I say one thing about this move that I thought immediately is like, this is low key like Celtics pilled. Like, this is how the Celtics won. It's like, yeah, we have all these wings who can do a little bit of creating and are great defenders. Obviously, it's not the same as Tatum and Jalen, and your initiator is Brunson instead of Tatum. But otherwise, like, I think they could end up having a very similar play style if they do move on from Julius Randle. But I agree, like, if they lost OG, this is a shit trade because you just traded for a player who, if you think Mikal's better, fine. I think they're in a similar tier, you know, really good defender who can score 15 to 20 on any given night. If you just replaced him, but you gave up 7 picks to do it, or however many it ended up being, 4 of them unprotected, if you would have just brought him back instead and kept those picks, like, overpay OG before you give away all these draft picks. But yeah, I assume he'll be back. I doubt they made this move not expecting him to be.
Isn't there something about like the history of the Knicks and the Nets making trades
First
and like
trade 50 years. First trade.
Wow.
50 years.
Wow.
I did not know that. That's sick.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm very glad I asked.
The beef
That's
is
awesome.
squashed.
I guess.
They saw Kendrick and
the
Drake
thing
and said,
is,
we
like,
don't want any
I feel
conflict
like-
in our lives anymore.
I feel like the Nets have only been around for a couple of years, and like they made that move when they were in New Jersey. So it's less personal, I guess, than being in Brooklyn.
Yeah. In addition to this, the Nets don't only just come out as big winners because they get lots of draft capital, right? But they also, sort of in the same action or in like a side-by-side action, also got their own picks back. They basically control Z on all these dump trades they've made over the years, where they got their stuff back from the Rockets and sent the Phoenix stuff to them, as far as I can tell. It's a little confusing. So sorry I haven't done a super deep breakdown of where all these picks are
They
rearranging
wanted
to.
control over their own destiny in that regard.
Yeah, but basically the Nets are free to tank for the next 2 years, and for some reason this means the Rockets are expecting to get Kevin Durant, or at least try
what the
to in some
fuck?
capacity.
Well,
I don't get
actually,
it. I don't
no,
get
no,
it.
no. This was debunked. This was debunked about 5 minutes after it was tweeted. If you just scroll up,
Really?
you'll see it.
Oh.
Oh.
Legs.
There it is. As intrigued as the Rockets have been about Durant, they're determined to use the Suns pick to be aggressive on deals elsewhere now.
Damn, they changed their mind real fucking fast.
Woj, what you doing sending me on this roller coaster, man?
Dog, so that means that he sent out a tweet, and then can you, Rudy, will you dive a little bit deeper on this, the timestamps on these? That means he
9/19.
tweeted something that he misunderstood or misinterpreted.
Both said 18 hours. Yeah.
So 9:19 was the clarification. 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
So very quickly, somebody
So
somebody
he tweeted
texted
that.
Woj.
Yeah.
And was
Well,
like,
that
you
is
need to
not what you were
rearrange
supposed to
that.
put out there.
Yeah,
you just
that is
shit
not
the
what
whole
we
bed
said.
on this. So
And
really,
he
the
can't.
big what
4
if in
minutes-
NBA history now, right?
Yeah,
what
he
if
can't
Woj doesn't
delete
fuck
it.
this up?
I don't know if it's that big of a what if.
It's not.
What
Wow.
if the Rockets get Kevin Durant in 2024? We'll never
And
know.
then suck just like all the other Kevin Durant teams.
What if the Rockets had Jalen Green? That's what people would really be asking. Or excuse me, not the Rockets, the Suns. I fucked that up. You know
They
what I'm
got
saying.
I was about to say, I was like, do I have news for you, Rudy?
So wait, okay. So now we can do this in real time. So the Rockets offered Jalen Green and 4 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, and the Nets said no. And then the Knicks offered 4, and then like a pick swap, and then like 2 seconds, and that's better. Do you guys like
It's
that
better because they have their own picks. So now
Right.
that they can, like, they have no incentive to tank. Everyone's like, why are the Nets so mediocre? It's because they have no reason to not be. If they suck, it just means a draft pick for somebody else. But now they have control of their own destiny in that regard. They can tank. There's some good drafts coming up. It was pretty smart, honestly, to skip this one, rather than jumping the gun. As much as we've given the Nets shit for holding out on Mikal, I think they got about as good of a return as you could have asked. Jalen Green, given how good he was the last couple of months of the season, maybe you argue because you have the player there. But, I'd rather have, control over my own picks and, get 2 top 5 guys back-to-back than have Jalen Green.
I mean, the Nets did get Bogdanovich, to be fair, but if you're doing that, then you'd rather have Jalen Green than Bogdanovich.
Sure, but that was just salary filler.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I know. I'm just saying they both had a player, and if you're
comparing
right.
the offer, I'll take control over my own picks over Jalen Green personally.
Sure.
Yeah. So, what a fuck up! Just a hilarious little thing that happened there with
they did a decent job of digging themselves out of it. That's basically all you could do in that context. Please give us our picks back. We don't want to be mediocre anymore.
Woj also tweeting that the Knicks are trying to be just like the Celtics, and they're trying to get OG back. However, again, that's not guaranteed. So, as cool as it would be, I would still be scared as a Knicks fan of losing OG. And
I'm definitely I'd be a little nervous until we saw the tweet come out, but I don't think you have too much cause for concern.
What is Rudy talking about? What is Rudy talking about? If I was a Knicks fan, I'd be worried. I thought you were the motherfucker.
The season's over. Season 5, baby. I'm back.
Oh, right.
Memphis all the way. We're winning the championship this year. Calling it right now. Do you guys have that much faith in your team? I didn't think so. Well,
why
Alex,
the fuck would I?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
That's not faith. It's delusion.
We traded Josh Giddey. I have infinite faith in OKC now.
We traded for Josh Giddey. I have no faith.
Shout out to Gogeta Fighter for getting us our last chat of the stream. And with that, we will catch you guys next week. Thanks for being here. If you're listening on Spotify, give us 5 stars. Like the stream before we go. Shout out to Adrian Wojnarowski. Jacob, any last words?
That's not how you say that.
New year, new me. Same me, though. Happy New Year. Yeah!